Hello, everybody. So, with the Torchlight Vortex season coming out tomorrow and the PoE League being still quite far away, about a month and a half away, I figured it'd be a really good time to make a sort of little guide. It's not going to be very complicated. It's going to be like the basic stuff, where it's just going to be going over the basic things about Torchlight Infinite from the point of view of somebody who's played Path of Exile. So, I'm just going to explain everything. If there's something to compare it to PoE 1, I will do that. And if it's not something that I can compare, then I'll just try to explain it as simply as possible. Honestly, nothing in this game is that inherently complicated, but there is a lot of depth in a lot of places that actually surprised me when I first started. And obviously what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start the character creation screen, because this is actually something that confused me for quite a while. If you ever see people talking about the game, they'll talk about a character. Like, for example, I'm going to be playing Rosa, and you'll notice there's two. Whoops, cinematic keeps happening, but there's two Rosas. There's Rosa 1 and there's Rosa 2. And as far as I am aware, the only real thing, there's two things that it means. First and foremost, it's your hero's trait, your base trait that you're picking. And you are also picking, it's called 2 because it's the second released one. It's the most recent release. So like if there was a third one that came out, it would be considered Rosa 3. So if you ever see people talking about a build, they don't really mention the skill very often, even. It's generally like just an archetype or the character itself, just I'm playing Rosa 2, or for the purposes, I'm going to be making a new character, and I'm going to just, because I want to test Yuga 2, and so I'm going to make a new character, and I'm just going to play through, and then I'll explain things as I get there. I'll explain the different mechanics. So this is Yuga 2, and you can tell which one it is, because it doesn't actually say here. But you can always tell which one it is based on two things. You can see the second thing here, the second line, like this is space-time elapse, and this is space-time illusion, but also the order that they are in this menu is the order that they are called. So this is Yuga 1, this is Yuga 2, this is Thea 1, this is Thea 2, this is Thea 3, Moto 1, Moto 2. So that's the character thing explained. There's one exception here being Selena. She doesn't have a 1 or a 2 or a 3, so she's just Selena. People still call her Selena 1 just to make it easier, I guess. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm going to make this character. And as I open up the different things that are worth mentioning, I'll start talking about it. Alright, so after your first clearing of the first zone, you get your first skill point, and I will show you how the passive tree system works in this game. So it's very similar to Last Epoch. If you played Last Epoch, you have 4 trees that you get in total, and you have a bunch of choices of which trees you want them to be. And your first one is always between these 6. In this case, it's suggesting this one. I'm just going to go with what it suggests because I have not played Yuga 2. I don't even really know what he does. So you can always preview it. Clicking this button, you can see all the nodes, what they do. And you can also click these to see what major talents they give. So I'm going to activate this one. And I have a bunch of extra skill points just because this is on the Overrealm season, and because I'd already completed a lot of stuff on the Overrealm season through achievements and whatnot, you get some bonus talent points when you start. So this basically just works like most skill trees in games do now. Like you can see, it needs 3 skill points to this line, 6 for this, 6 or 9 for this, so I'll put 3 here. Now I have this unlocked. Put another 3. Now I have these. And now these. It's pretty simple. Once I hit level 12, I get to pick between one of these 3, and you can switch these at any time with no cost. And you can see when I hit 24 points in here, I'll also be able to pick one of these. When you have the different ones that unlock later, you only get the 24. You don't get the 12. It's only for your first tree that you get the 12 and 24. And at the end, there's generally more powerful nodes. Like this, for example. Additional damage equals more. So if you know PoE 1 terminologies, every time you see additional, that means more. It's the multiplicative scaling. But these ones are generally stronger, so this one's just going to be 8% more. This one confused me for a long time. I'm like, what do you mean applied to life? I thought it had something to do with me. What it means is you deal 8% more damage when you are damaging life. So if a monster has energy shield, you're not getting this bonus until you get rid of the energy shield. But yeah, so all these talents are generally going to be stronger. And I may as well show off the inventory here too. It's not exactly complicated. because inventories in games are never complicated, but this one's even less complicated than others. This is where everything happens. Don't really need to explain this. You understand, like, these are weapon slots, this is ring slots, belt, amulet, you know, you get it. All your gear goes in this tab. There are 4 tabs. This is the gear tab. Pretty self-explanatory. Everything takes 1 slot. I kind of wish it was a grid system, because grid systems are just always cooler, in my opinion. Some people like this. There's a sort button. You can't move things for whatever reason. But when things get like messy or they're in the wrong place because you took something out, like if I recycled these 2 and now there's these 2 empty slots, you can click the sort button and it'll sort it out for you, which is kind of cute, but whatever. This tab is for your skills, which I haven't talked about yet. I'll talk about in a moment. As soon as I can put my first support gem on, I'll showcase the skill system, but you can basically think about this tab like if you're a PoE 2 player and you have an uncut skill gem, it would go in this tab. And if you had a skill gem that you weren't equipping and using, then it would also be in this tab. Same with support gems. So this is what the entire tab is for, which is cool. Commodity is crafting materials, currency, things like that, that you end up spending the majority of your time in this inventory in the end game. And the others tab is, I believe it's just like your maps themselves, and which are called beacons, and compasses, which are like scarabs from PoE, and a couple other things like boss invitations. So those are the 4 different tabs of inventory. So you actually have a lot of inventory space. It takes a long time before you want to actually... Okay, it says the shop is locked, but you can also upgrade your inventory space without spending real money. So that's cool. I believe that mine is like upgraded twice. I think you start with just these 4 lines, and I have an extra set of 4, so... and here's your character sheet. And just like PoE, the DPS number here is pretty useless. It also displays down here. But in most cases, it doesn't really actually do anything very accurately. At least in the early game it does, but in the end game it's not going to be very accurate. There's a training dummy. Just use the training dummy. It'll tell you the accurate stats. This sheet does not change also. Like if you're like, oh, I wonder what the numbers go to when I'm in combat, don't bother. But if you go to the training dummy, there's an info that is the same screen that does have things that update. I'm not sure why this one doesn't. Maybe it will with the new update. I don't know. But regardless, this one doesn't update for some reason. And the survival is basically the same. You'll run into situations in the end game where it's like, hey, your survival's kind of low for this content, and then you just ignore it, and you just base whether you want to do that content off of whether you're dying or not. So, yeah, these numbers are basically useless. These are your 3 main stats: strength, dex, int, just like any other game, just like PoE. But in this game, they don't do anything other than increase the additional damage that your skill does based on its main stats. So in my case, it would be intelligence for this one. You can see at the top, main stat, intelligence. So for every point of strength or intelligence, I'll get 0.5 additional skill damage, which again, remember that is more damage. So stats in this game are a multiplicative damage modifier for the skills that align with their stat. And of course, there's items and stuff that make stats do additional things, but as a baseline, that's what they do. Energy is just a value that you have that is linked to your gear. The higher level gear, the higher level energy it has, generally speaking.
Magic is in essence a kind of science.
Okay, my guy's talking.
Idiots will never be able to learn it.
Voice lines are cringe.
I'm not talking about you.
This stat just allows you to add more support gems to your skills. That's what it is. It doesn't do anything else, that's it. So it's very required to have, but it's also really easy to get. So, and then you have life mana and energy shield, just like PoE. They all function the same. Resistances are similar, just these 4 though. And it's not like absolutely required for you to have like res capped resistances in this game. You can get away with not having them capped at all. Like on my Rosa 2 character, for example, that I've been testing, I have 9% of erosion resistance, but if I encounter erosion damage, it still doesn't kill me, because I just have a big enough pool to deal with it. So that seems to be the case for a lot of builds in this game. This is the damage section. Again, it doesn't update during combat, so this whole section seems pretty useless, but when you're using the training dummy version, this part is really useful because it will actually update everything as you go. Again, on my Rosa 2 character, which is a character that ramps significantly. It's all about how many times you can attack per second. It's really, really impactful to use the updating thing to see what your crit chance and your damage actually get to. So this one's useless and that one's useful. That defense tab is the same thing. Only thing I really want to mention here is that block chance in this game works a bit differently than PoE, and it works similarly to Last Epoch. You have a block chance just like anything else. But you also don't block 100% of the damage. You block 30% by default, and you can get that up to 60 by default. I believe there's ways in the game to make this number even bigger. So yeah, like at most, without any outside influence, you can get it to 60% of the damage being blocked 100% of the time, which is obviously really valuable. It's just 60% DR, but yeah, blocking is slightly different in this game. And then you have this other tab, which is just like random stuff. I actually use this tab on my Rosa 2 character because it'll tell you how much percent of your damage you take is being taken through mana before anything else. And so you have to get that number to 100% on Rosa 2, or you just die to anything. So that's a useful tab for that character. Alright, so I've unlocked my first skill, or support gem slot. But before I do that, I did switch my main skill, and the way that you would do that is you click this button, change, and you can just pick between all these ones that you have unlocked. You don't have to go to town or buy them or anything, you can just pick them here, and it will come leveled. So this is basically like your uncut skill gems screen from PoE 2. You can't pick everything though, it seems like certain characters are limited to getting certain ones, which is cringe. I really wish they wouldn't do that kind of thing, but it's fine. But here's the first support gem slot. You can pick between all of these. In my case, I'll just pick increased area because it always feels good. It's a more damage multiplier in this game, which is interesting. So if your skill can deal area damage, it's pretty good. And you just throw it on like that. I also got another skill point, and so I'll showcase this thing. So I'm going to put in my third point here, and that puts me to 12. So now I get to click this and pick one of these. I don't even know which one I'm going to pick, so let me think. Okay, I'm going to take this erosion or affliction thing. I don't even know what this means, but we'll see. I'll see if I can notice it. Okay, so just quickly, I unlocked every single one of these slots, and I have all of these support gems added on here, and I'll just show you why that is. There's certain like leveling uniques and stuff in the game that you can get. You can see it has 115 energy on it. That's contributing to my slots for the skill gem slots, or the support gem slots. So that's what's going on there. Okay, so the last core system I think that we will actually talk about, and I'll actually explain here, is the hero traits. In terms of like in the campaign. There's stuff to talk about with the endgame, but this is where you unlock it. As soon as you get to this zone called Riverside, you just go through here. And you run over to this guy, or girl I guess, Liv. You talk to Liv, and then you unlock your hero trait. So I have no idea what mine does. I don't know that much about this guy. All I know is it's damage over time stuff, but anyway, this is the screen. You get your first one for free. And then when you hit level 45, you have to start using these things called hero memories. And there's a different type for each slot. And I believe you get the first two guaranteed in the campaign every time. You'll always get a drop at a certain point, like at the level 45 zone, you'll get the level 45 memory. And same for 60. And I think 75 you have to find by random drop, or you can get it from a various mechanic, or you can just buy it on the trade. They're not expensive. But yeah, so you'll see like for each one you get like an upgrade or an alternate mechanic to do with your hero relic or your hero trait. So that's what the system is. This is what defines your thing. So this is Yuga 2. This is his identity right here. Yuga 1 would have a completely different power, and so this is what you pick the characters for. So it's a pretty cool system. I actually don't mind it much. I still think it's kind of impossible to beat PoE of just being like virtually endlessly open-ended aside from the ascendancy choices, but I guess you basically look at these like ascendancy choices, and it functions in a very similar way, so that's kind of what you're playing the character for. So cool system.
With you.
Alright, I've just unlocked the Pact
I
system,
need some time alone.
and this is the controversial system,
That was no
and
easy
let's just go ahead and look at it.
You don't look
So
very
first of all, again, I'm going to have more points than normal to spend here because I have already played in the league quite a bit. So Pacts are these guys, and they vary in rarity. There's these common ones, Then there is more rare ones, the pink ones here. And then of course legendary ones, which is what it's all really about. Now I'm going to click this guy. I already have him, so I'm going to form a pact like this. Now you'll notice on the right side here that they have different effects based on what level they are, 1 through 6. And this is where the actual pay-to-win part of the game comes in. And this is where they make money off of you. I have not spent a dime on the game. Not a single thing. I have not put anything into the game. And I do have these 3 legendary pets. This one and this one were both targeted. I chose to get both of these ones because I was playing the mind control character last season. And you do get one free one every season just by logging in for I think 7 days in a row, as well as a free drop pet, which I'll talk about later. You can get these upgraded by opening boxes, and you also get them by opening boxes as well. You can target farm them a little bit with the whole system, but I'll talk about that in a second. Let's just focus on what the pact actually do for now. So they have these special abilities if you have the legendary ones. The other ones just give generic stuff, like I'll show. If I go to this one's pack page, it's just 5% more damage. And when you level these ones up, they just give you like an extra little thing at the bottom. They're like 2% additional damage. So that's pretty typical. These are like the ones you'll end up finding the most of, and you will be able to upgrade these somewhat frequently, because if you get duplicates, you can use the duplicate to upgrade it. That's how you upgrade them. So, I'm going to use this one on this character for now. And so I have 8 pack points to spend, because again, I think you'd only have 1 here normally, but I have 7 additional ones because of playing in the thing already, so I can go and allocate all these. Like that. And once I get 2 more levels of the pact system, which I don't know when you actually get the different ones, they just happen at some point, then you get a cool effect. So that's the pact system. And the drop ones come later, and you can see you unlock another one at 36 and then one at 62. I will just say this, I think the free ones are more than enough. And if you seriously think that you need to get a level 6 combat pet to be competitive with other people, then you just suck. And you can't grind enough, you don't have the time. So it is pay to win, and it's annoyingly pay to win. But it is very much so playable without spending all that money. And they're giving more and more stuff away each league, so I think they're just heading in a good direction for that stuff. So whether you like it or not, it's playable without it. Okay, so I've just come across the first of many treasure troves. These are kind of what make the campaign actually fun, and these are very powerful, and you should do them every time you find them, and you should do them multiple times. So basically, you just run in here, and you get this screen. The first time you clear it, you get a skill point, so it's already worth doing just for that. But then there's also drops that are slightly tailored to your character. I think this one always has the same helmet, and the exclusive drops, I believe, are the same across every character, but there'll be, or the rare exclusive drops, I mean. But the common ones will be different based on what character you're playing. They kind of try to cater a little bit just to make the campaign experience better, and I really like it. It's fun. And you get a bunch of extra XP in here, so I'll just run this.
I haven't even given it my all yet. You surpassed your limits again! Not yet. A powerful opponent. Shame that they're a little dumb.
And there you go. So yeah, you just level up a bunch and you can just challenge it again and keep going until you get the XP penalty, which I think happens at like 5 or 6 levels over the zones level. So yeah, just keep doing it while you can. Alright, so for the last topics that I'll cover or help you with is all endgame related basically. And so I just hopped on my Rosa character to showcase this stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about is just well, actually, I'll finish talking about the skill system in the inventory. So obviously I covered how all 4 of these different tabs function, but I'll, show you what they kind of look like when you actually have stuff in them. Because that's something I do I do consider lacking in most guide content across like all of these games is showing actual proper examples that make sense for someone who's trying to understand it. So for my character, you can see like this is the gear tab, and the stuff that's in here is like basically just the stuff that you equip, right? So I have a pair of gloves here that I picked up, and then these are all divinity slates, which I'll talk about in a moment, but that's something that you equip on your character as well. And then here's a couple hero memories, which are those things that go into these slots. Well, like I was demonstrating earlier with your hero trait, this is basically your ascendancy, right? So all of the equipable stuff goes in this tab, and then here's the skill tab where I just have a bunch of leftover random skills and supports from just messing around with stuff. Generally, none of these are actually worth anything, so skills are a little different in this game in the way that, like, in PoE, you can kind of level a gem to level 20 and then sell it. I think you can probably do that in this game, but I don't know if people do. It's different. But yeah, here's the tab you will spend most of your time interacting with in the end game. You've got all your currencies and your crafting materials. Here's the equivalent of orbs of unmaking. So if I click this, I get all these things. They let me undo specs on my Atlas tree, so that's a cool item. And here's one that gives you passive point respecs. So these are orbs of regret. But it is worth mentioning you don't have to pay anything to reroll your trees before you're level 90. Once you hit level 90, you have to start spending actual points. But before you're level 90, it's completely free to just keep switching and messing around with stuff all you want. So experimentation is very good. And it does take a little bit to get to level 90. Probably about the same time to get to 90 as it is in PoE 1. But once you're 90, I think it takes considerably longer per level, at least in my opinion. Maybe I'm just not blasting hard enough, I'm not running the right strats or something, but it seems like it takes longer to get to 95 to 100 for sure. Yeah, so there's a bunch of crafting stuff in here. A lot of it's specific to different kinds of content, just like Path of Exile, right? So just stuff you'll learn over time. But stuff like this, precious embers, you'll use all the time for crafting. Matchless embers, same. And this is the trading currency that is also your crafting material. So this is the equivalent of like chaos orbs in PoE, but there is no divine orbs in this game, except you could qualify this one as a divine orb if you wanted to. The ultimate ember, I guess it's similar, but it kind of reminds me of an exalted orb. This is more like an exalted orb. So like these are basically your two crafting and currency things that are extremely vital, and every player will learn that items are sold in FE. So that's this is your currency, and most crafting, like I'll show you here, if I go to the crafting screen on this sword, it's going to use FE for the craft. It depends on the item level of the weapon, or item level of the item in general. I think it's like level 84 or 83. It starts requiring FE instead of other materials, so that's your early game crafting is cheaper than your end game crafting by a big margin. Alright, so that's the inventory completely shown here. Oh yeah, here's the map tab, by the way. So these are the beacons, these are the maps, and they're all tiered. They go up to tier 8, and then there's Profound, and then I think there's Deep Space. I think those are separate from this tiering. This is a boss invitation for basically the core pinnacle boss of the game that is required to be taken down for full completion of the Alice progression. And then here's the compasses, which are the scarabs in the game, and here are the div cards. So div cards also go in here. So that's what this tab is mostly for. I'm sure there's like one or two other things that go in here, but mostly just the boss invitations, the maps, compasses, and cards. So crafting. This game's crafting system is actually really cool. When I initially like saw it and had it explained to me, I thought it was kind of, you know, I respect PoE's crafting a lot. It's something that like that game does pretty much better than any other game that's ever existed. Not just ARPGs, but like Jesus, that game has some crafting. In this game, it's weird because it feels like it's a little bit too deterministic in some ways, but you'll learn pretty quickly that it's way more deterministic, and you can never actually like really brick an item without corrupting it. You can kind of just endlessly keep crafting on bases. And so what ends up being the RNG part is just like how long does it take to get the thing you're rolling. And like obviously you can continuously roll a base almost all of the time when it comes to crafting in PoE 1, but in this game, like it's more like you can continuously keep re-rolling the same affix. So there's like very little risk to hitting the wrong one. So, like, if I wanted to roll off of intelligence, actually, I'll just show you. Like, actually, I'll use melee damage because it's simpler. You can see there's the mods that it can roll, and here's the highest tier that it can roll. And so this is a level 100 item, so it can roll up to tier 1. I think you can roll up to tier 1 at like 86. And then these ones are different. I'm not even going to try to break that down because it's not really that important right now. The priceless items that are level 100. There is a big difference between 100 and 86. I'll just put it like that, unlike PoE. So yeah, if I wanted to reroll over the melee damage and get something else here, like say, I don't know, maybe I want lightning damage to the gear. And by the way, to the gear means local. So 37% gear attack speed is attack speed for the sword. And 33% attack and cast speed is just a generic increase to my character's attack speed. And so the base gear to the gear modifiers are way more impactful. Just like PoE would be way more impactful if you had an item that said plus 4% to critical strike chance on a sword versus 125% increased critical strike chance. So if you know how PoE 1 affixes work, this is the equivalent of it being a local mod. But yeah, let's just say I wanted to get erosion damage to the gear. Well, I can click craft. I didn't get it, and now it's like, oh, well, shit. Now I just rolled over the 94% melee damage roll. Doesn't work like that. You can click confirm on this side to keep what you already had, or you can click confirm on this side to keep what's new. And in this case, like, I would just click craft again. And I think I said I wanted lightning, so like, yeah, I'll just take it, right? I click that button, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to do that. So you just click over here instead, and the item's fine. And the only thing you wasted is 20 precious embers and 2 flame elementium. So that's what the crafting is like. And then there's 2 different things you can do here. Like this mod right here is extremely good. And I actually got on the first try, which is really nice, but I guess it's only 6 options, I think. 7. Yeah, this is what you use the ultimate embers for, is the ultimate affixes. And you can see it costs way more. You're paying like 30C from PoE 1 and an Exalted Orb at the same time just to try to hit this one mod. Luckily, the one I like for this weapon doesn't have a roll. It's just a flat one, so all I had to do is hit it, so that was kind of nice. But yeah, the crafting in this game is pretty much that's it. There's a lot of random stuff you can do. I'll just give one example. I won't go into all of them because I probably don't even know all of them. One example is these dream affixes. You can see it says I have 1 out of 3 that I can equip. These are affixes you can put on rings and weapons, I believe. And the one I have on this weapon is this multi-strike chance. Now the thing is with these modifiers is you can get really impactful ones. Like this one is quite good. It's not like insane, but it's quite good. But it always comes with a negative side. And so there's some gambling to it, but you can see that you can only have 1 out of 3 equipped, so you can't do like 2 swords, 2 rings. You can only do like 1 sword, 2 rings, or 2 swords, 1 ring type situation. So I don't know if it's limited to those. I just think it is. It might be any piece of gear, and I probably just need to be putting some on some stuff. But yeah, that's just an example. Like there's other crafting too. That's pretty much just specific to the different mechanics, but that's stuff you'd look into once you understand the game. This isn't going to be too much of a complex and deep video. So that is crafting and the inventory all done. I will quickly show what a skill setup looks like once you have almost everything set up. I think my auras are still kind of scuffed, but yeah, this is this full 6-link main skill. And then this is a movement skill. I have 2 things supported to it. You can see I don't have any more room for any more support gems, so this is what I can fit. I'm running a 2 curse setup. I have +1 curse on my amulet, so this is the first curse. I'm using preparation, which makes it auto trigger. Every 8 seconds it says. I don't actually think it's completely full uptime at the moment. Something you would do is you can do like these activation medium things, supports, which are things that you can, they're harder to find. They're kind of expensive to buy on trade, but you can get one that would make it fully uptime. And you can like automate. I won't go too much into that either because it's also kind of like deep into the game's mechanics. Like you can basically automate every single build in the game. Like every single build can become an auto bomber. So that's cool. It's like an end game goal. Here's my second curse, and then I have this buff that just gives a bunch of melee damage. And this is up like all the time. Then I have 2 auras. And because this is the mana stacker where you take 100% of the damage as mana, like hits your mana before your life in ES, you just use life reservation. So I have 1 life, and I'm on low life. But yeah, that's what a skill setup looks like for an endgame character. And I'll show the tree too, because why not? This is level 95, so I have the whole thing done here. Both of these selected. This is the more interesting one because there's a mechanic that came in with the Overrealm League called, what are these called? Ethereal Prisms? Yeah. Where it can just give a bunch of bonuses to the things that are inside of this radius. And so in this case, it's giving me a big thing, which is 20% additional attack damage while holding a one-handed weapon. It's putting it on this, so any of these get that. It's just 20% more damage. And then in this case, I'm using shadows. And so these are giving 8% more shadow damage on this one, on this one, on this one, and on this one. So it's 16% more shadow damage, which is cool. And I have 6 shadows at the moment, so it's pretty big power creep with this league. It was fun. And then yeah, you just keep going down the list. This one just gives you. This one's kind of insane. If you can balance your attacks, your dexterity and strength, if they're equal, you get like a bunch of bonus stuff. It's cool. Yeah, so that's like fully filled out trees. And here's the divinity slates. This is something really important, and I probably have pretty shitty ones, but we'll see. So in my case, I'm a mana stacker, and I do attack damage. So those are the 2 things. When I explain what these are doing, you'll get it. But basically, this is similar to, I guess you have to compare it to like Diablo 4, if anything, right? Because they have the... Actually, no, let's compare it to Last Epoch and their idol system. That's more appropriate. You just have a certain amount of slots to use. It's just a grid-based system, so if I take this out really quick, you'll see there's like squares that it can fit into. And you just make everything fit as best as you can and try to be as efficient as possible. And there's like a lot of legendary slates that take up specific different amounts. Like there's a legendary slate that could fit right here. I'm sure it's really expensive though. And you can see an example here, like these corners of divinity are unique in that they only take 3 spots as a corner, where the average or normal slate would take 4. And this is a really big one that can have insanely strong things on it that takes up more space to compensate. So in this case, this gives me 1% of max mana is added as physical damage to my attacks and spells and space damage bonus. I don't remember how many focus blessing stacks I have. I think it's 4 or 5. So just like 4 or 5% of my max mana is added to my attacks as base damage. Is nice. And then this makes me do 32% additional damage to enemies at the center of my skills, which I can just stand on top of them. So it's just 32% more damage. So in this case, this thing is like insane, right? It's a big bonus to the character's DPS. And then I can get a modifier like this. Consume 4% of current mana when casting main skills, because you want to consume as much as possible in this build. Then just stacking mana and intelligence. Want to reroll this, but I'm poor. Max mana, intelligence, and this is where you get a lot of that mana, or what's it called? 8% of damage is taken from mana before life. So, yeah, that's the divinity slates. There's a lot of stuff you can do with them here. You can rotate them, and the cube mechanics, how you get all that stuff. That's why I have so many in here, because I run the cube all day. Yeah, so that's the stuff you can equip. I guess I'll briefly talk about the hero memories too. Each one is specific. So the main one, the memory of origin for your first thing, is always going to have a main stat. So it could be strength, like this one, or it could be intelligence, like this one. And this one's a little bit more open. You can do max mana, life, ES, all kinds of stuff like that. And they always have different roles underneath. One of them is locked, and these ones are random. And you can reroll if you want. It's kind of expensive. You can upgrade them. It'll always upgrade this. And then if you have like a blue one, it doesn't get one of these. If you have a purple one, it gets one of these. If you have a gold one, it gets 2 of these. And I think if you have a red one, you get 3. I think. But they also get more and more expensive to level up for the higher rarity they are. So like you can see this one's golden, so it has 2 of those. Yeah, and this is the last one. You can get stuff like movement speed, attack damage, I think, stuff like that as the base. So this is attack speed, because attack speed is so crucial on this build. So yeah, that's the hero memories. Now let's talk about mapping really quick. Well, I don't want to say really quick. It's pretty important. So mapping in this game is akin to probably last epoch more than anything, in the way that it's formatted. But it's pretty unique. Honestly, it's pretty unique. At least I haven't played a game that feels like this one when it comes to the system. So basically, there's these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sort of subsections of the game, and I'm pretty sure it's just based. They're all just based on the different layouts in the campaign. Now, something that's really important about this game and its layouts is they're not random. Okay, so if I go Glacial Abyss here, all these different layouts, no matter which one I pick, it'll always be the same layout as it is the next time I pick it. There is no randomly generated levels, which is weird. On one hand, it's disappointing because randomly generated levels is kind of like one of the most important things about ARPGs, but it ends up playing pretty well for this game because there is so much different mechanics that you can farm in the game that you do actually end up with a situation in which you can, like if you're a boss rusher, for example, I don't know these yet. I don't know what maps you're supposed to run for different things, but I know that there are people who run specific layouts for specific types of strategies. And so while yes, it's disappointing because you lose out on that randomness, you're also getting 100% full agency over exactly what layout you're running at all times. So in terms of efficiency, this is the best way to do it possible. I do think it's better to do a PoE system where you can guarantee the same map that you're running every time, but the map is a little bit different every time at the same time. I think that's better, but this is a good alternative. I do think it's cool. And then once you've killed enough, in this case, if I've done 12 maps, and you can increase the amount of, or you can decrease the amount of time it takes to get this invitation, but once you have enough of these star shard things, you can then fight this boss, which has exclusive drops and drops a bunch of maps as well, which maps actually do sell for quite a bit. So it's an early strategy people like to use. I'll probably use it tomorrow, which is just early boss rushing. Yeah, so that's the basics of mapping. And the progression, just to explain how it works, you start at time mark 0, which you can always see, by the way. In the bottom right down here, it shows you the stage monster level of this time mark. So you start at 58 to 62. You basically enter maps at about level 60. That's when you finish the campaign if you had a normal campaign. And what you do is, in this case, if you start at number 1, you can see you only have one of these zones unlocked. You only have the Glacial Abyss. So you run as many as it asks you for, which is only 2. You can literally kill the boss in 2. And if you kill this boss, you can then move on to time mark 2. And once you're in time mark 2, you now have unlocked this zone. And you do the same thing for this zone. Do 2 maps, you can do the boss, and then you can move on to time mark 3. And it keeps going and going and going. I will mention at time mark 3, you get Steel Forge when you kill this guy. That's when you unlock the Divinity Slates. That's when you can equip those. You start with less space and you get more space at level 90. You just have like the center of it early on, but it's still a really, really big power spike, and killing this boss is like a really important thing for early progression. Obviously time mark 4, you go to Thunderway, so you can see over there. Time mark 5, you go to the Voidlands, and then you hit time mark 6, and that's when things change. Because I believe in time mark 6 what do you have to do actually? I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure you have to kill the Realm Lord. I always forget what you have to do for time mark 6. Regardless, I know that for time mark 7 you have to kill the Realm Lord, which is like the pinnacle boss, which by the way, once you hit time mark 7, being able to kill the Realm Lord takes a while. I think you probably need I think it's something like 80 to 100 million DPS to actually feel comfortable. So yeah, it can be tricky, and it's actually like the first time you'll probably actually get stopped during mapping. Like, oh, I need to progress. It's basically like hitting red maps in PoE. It's like hitting red maps. Like, oh, I actually have to take a little bit, farm some currency to actually start feeling like I'm capable of taking on the content to progress further. So that's like the first real point you'll get stopped if you know what you're doing. And then time mark 8, which is the place you want to get to as fast as possible. This is where people do the most farming. You can think of this as T16 maps. You want to get here as soon as possible because it's the most efficient place to farm and where you can actually really start to make some money and get your character really going. and you will spend a lot of time in here. I mentioned it before, but going to Profound it was really hard for me, even on my last league character that was like really OP. So I think it's just a matter of knowing what you're doing and being efficient with upgrades and everything. So we'll see. I'm going to keep trying to get better at that and get there. And there's deep space, which I'm not even going to bother trying to talk about. I don't even know. But yeah, that's the Atlas in terms of the actual maps themselves and the progression. And then here is the Atlas tree. They do have one. And it's quite cool. I'm a big fan of it. Basically, there's all these different sections, and if you start... I wonder if it'll show it. No, okay, since I already unlocked it, it just won't bother, but basically, when you first start out, I think you only have, like, these 3 unlocked, and then you unlock a little bit more as you get through the different time marks. But basically, these are all the different mechanics in the game. Everything here, the compasses, right here, and then all these 4 are just generic. Like, I don't even know what this one does. Like, what's this one do? It's just random gear nodes. Okay, for priceless gear and stuff. Okay. But yeah, this is the one that you basically always want to start with. You get like a bunch of generic stuff. These Netherrealm resonances are like... You can kind of just think of them as like, that's your way to juice maps. Like in terms of the mods on them. It's kind of like using an Orba Alchemy on a map in PoE. Something similar to that. And then there's also... You can spec into more monsters and bosses and random shit here. It's cool. Very efficient for your early progression. It's just like how in PoE 1 you set up your Atlas tree for more map drops initially, so you can progress further and Curac missions. It's the same thing. This functions the same way. But yeah, these are all the different other mechanics. I'll just show the cube as an example tree. It takes, what was it, 67 points to fully fill it out? Yeah. This is what I run basically all league. I love it. Thank you, Alkaiser, for putting me on. And then there's this tree, which is... I think if you kill time mark 7 Realm Lord, you get the first 2 points, and then time mark 8, you get the second set of 2 points. I don't know if there's more because I haven't gone past Profound or anything. I haven't killed the Realm Lord there or anything, so I don't know. But this is just like a more impactful tree, right? So it's just a bunch of random different things that affect every map. You can pick whatever you want. So yeah, that's the Atlas tree, and it's really cool. And you can have 3 plans, just like PoE. Like you can see, there's a lot of influence from PoE here. Right, so this one's like for farming dreams and pirates or whatever. So yeah, it's cool. That is the Atlas. That is the Netherrealm. That's how it works. And I guess I'll just show the rest of the Pact system and the auction house, and that's what I'll finish it off with. So these are the packs that I have for this character. This is part of the reason I chose to pick this character for what I'm going to start tomorrow in the new league. I already have one of them, one of her best pets, and so I can get a second one for free. And so I basically wanted to pick something like, okay, I already have one of them, and then I can just get the second one, and that was like the best choice I had. This one worked for almost any attack-based build, to be honest, but yeah, it does you get a free 15% more damage from this. And on this build, you hit so frequently that everything has paralysis on it. And then another 10% more damage when I'm standing on top of them. So this thing's just kind of incredible. And the one that I'm going to get, either if you're rolling or the free one they give you, is this one, which gives you 4% additional, aka more, elemental damage for attack skills, up to 4 times. So it's just another 16% more. And yeah, that's this. I already explained how they work earlier, but yeah, you get up to 3, and you can, at the end of the game, I don't know what level you get the final one, like 95 even maybe, but you can fill out the entire thing. And while I'm here, there are things in the game called fates, which basically let you overwrite what any pack spirit is doing. So you can replace it with something else. So in this case, like I replaced a bunch of stuff with max mana as much as possible. You can see there's limits over here. But that's something important because it also means no matter how pay to win the pack spirits might be, there are ways to work around it, and there are things that you can do to them that just kind of end up equaling out, right? Because like, even if this pet were level 6 and it did all this extra stuff, that's cool. but it has no effect on this stuff. So at least this part you can do no matter what again. So, and it's a really, really big portion of the scaling here for a lot of builds. Mana stacking in particular, this thing was a huge boost. Like, this is probably like at least 3,000 or 4,000 mana because of this stuff. And then there's drop Pactspirits. So these are the ones I do consider controversial, and I think I don't appreciate them being in the game the way they are. So this is the cube pet. You can see he does specific things for the cube mechanic. Now this is probably one of the better ones at level 1. However, if you have level 6, you have... Let me see. I'm trying to remember how much better it gets. I'm trying to read all this stuff. Major talent doesn't... Yeah, okay, so if you get it to level 3, this 22% chance to 2x the items in the cube becomes 3x. At level 5, effects of bonus affixes and major talent nodes, plus 100%. 22% chance to 2x the items in the cube of opacity. When the items are doubled, so this means you get a 100% chance to 3x it then. So it goes to 3x every time you roll that. I don't know. Effective bonus affixes and major talent nodes plus 100%. See, when it says that, I think that means that it's 44% chance to proc it, but I don't know. And then this says effects of non-bonus affixes and major talent nodes is plus 33%. So I think that means it becomes like over 50% to 3x the items in the cube instead of 22% chance to 2x them. So you can understand, like, that's kind of cringe. And the only way to get more levels of this is getting more of this guy, right? And so you can do it once a season. So per season, getting him one level up, you know, you can clearly see they want you to spend money and swipe to get the guy out of boxes. So that's how that works. This one is a free one. I've gotten leveled up pretty far. This is what he gives. It's pretty decent. And this one's for the overrealm. I think I have... yeah, these other guys, like this one's got Ember drop quality. Like, some of them are slightly specific, but yeah, I do hate drop packed spirit system. But, you know, when you have them, it feels cool. But, you know.
Once the world is cleansed anew, I'll return this silver
So that's
flesh to
the Pactspirits.
Mercury.
And here is the trade house. The auction house, you can buy all kinds of stuff. It's pretty simple. You just learn how to navigate it through trying it. But like I said, FE is the main currency, so you can always price check something. And it will show all the listings for an item. And it's always an FE. Everyone sells stuff in FE. And you can do that from your inventory as well. It's like, oh, here's these gloves that I picked up. Can I sell them? Yes, I can, for that price. Same for everything over here. You can price check everything. You can do all of this in maps. Doesn't matter where you are. So that's cool. And I'll just demonstrate that, or I'll just showcase this is where the pay-to-win stuff happens. You get this free one every day, like anyone cares, but yeah, like this is where you'd get most of your battle packed spirits. You can choose one to buff the rate that it shows up, which is what I'm doing for that chick I was talking about. So yeah, I mean, it's just the pay-to-win aspect of it. I guess there's not really much else to talk about. I did think earlier that I forgot to mention there are the equivalent of frenzy, power, and endurance charges in this game in focus blessings, agility blessings, and tenacity blessings. Agility gives you attack speed, cast speed, and additional damage, I think. Focus blessings just give you more additional damage, and then tenacity gives you like reduced damage taken, I think. So they're basically the same thing as frenzies, endurances, and powers. So not much else to say. Everything else is pretty specific to the game itself, and not really something I should compare to PoE. So if any of this was helpful, that's great. I'm really looking forward to playing the new season, and I do think PoE players will enjoy this game. It's just good fun. If you've been kind of bummed out by PoE 1 recently, this is a good change of pace, and it's nice to just go try something new. So thank you for watching, and maybe I'll see you on some of the streams I'm going to do for the season.